I hope that everyone is having a good day. Today here in New York, it's really snowy and cold, and it's just the type of day where you want to sit by a fire and just cuddle up and watch TV or watch movies with the family. I wanted to start a video about Jordan's diagnosis and how we found out that he had Duchenne. And I'm going to do this in a two-part series where today I'm going to talk about kind of like the infancy and the ages below 10. And then the second one I will film, I'm not sure which day, and that will be like how he is now from 10 to 19. I got pregnant with Jordan when I was 18. I delivered him when I was 19. He did come 1 month early, but he didn't have any signs of distress or anything. He was breathing fine. Everything was fine. He scored high on his APGAR, and so he was able to come home with me. In infancy, you really can't tell much about Duchenne. The only thing that I remember is like he used to like to jump in my lap, like just bounce up and down while I was holding him like around the waist. And I did notice that his calves on his legs were really defined. Like it just looks like they're like a bodybuilder's legs because for some reason the calves in children with muscular dystrophy are they look a lot stronger. Like it looks like more muscle. I keep saying I have a brother. He does not have Duchenne, and I have a sister, and we do know that she was a carrier for Duchenne. She has a boy named Mason. He is 9, and he has muscular dystrophy too. There really wasn't any family history of muscular dystrophy. I had my younger brother, and I had an older sister, and my aunt had a boy and a girl. My other aunt had a girl, and then my other aunt had a boy, but none of the other boys in the family besides Mason have muscular dystrophy. It just kind of, I'm not sure, because my mom is one of 4 girls, so I don't know if her mother was a carrier or how far genetically that it started. They say it can happen out of nowhere. Like you don't have to be a carrier. You can just have Duchenne. And that's what we thought at first. But after a while, after he was diagnosed, about 10 years later, my sister had her boy. And her boy, again, Mason, he had Duchenne. I've gotten a lot of my information from Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy. They are a group of people that started PPMD, and they kind of branched off of the MDA. The MDA covers all of muscular dystrophy, any of the different disorders that there are. And I'm not sure if it's still parents that run it or not, but it's just about Duchenne. So it's a lot more informative to me. If you wanted to go there, it's www.parentproject.org. Sorry. If I keep looking down, it's because I had to write notes down. So it's kind of, this is how I was explained what happened. Males are born with one X chromosome from the mother and one Y chromosome from the father. Because males only have one X chromosome, if the X chromosome they receive has Duchenne gene mutation from the mother, and they will be affected with Duchenne if the mother has the X chromosome that the boy has. I don't know if that made sense. Because you have one X and you have one Y. And if the one X from your mother carries Duchenne, then you will either have Duchenne or not. in infancy, I really didn't notice anything. Like I said, just those strong calves, and he did have acid reflux. That could be a sign, but it's not. That's hard to say, you know, if he has acid reflux, that's what it's from. Excuse me, I'm drinking water. And until, well, when he was crawling still, I delivered my daughter. They were supposed to be Irish twins, which is where, like, there's a year between them, because my daughter's due date was exactly on my son's birthday. And yes, I had her very early. It wasn't exactly planned, but I mean, I would never take it back. But we didn't, at that time, know about Jordan. And I ended up not having any more children after my girls, because if I had another boy, they would have had Duchenne. And I just didn't think that was fair for them. But when he was crawling, I think it was right early when he was starting to walk, I had a group of people come and review Ashley, my daughter, because she was premature too. She was born at 28 weeks. And she looked fine to me, but I thought, well, maybe it would be better if I just had her tested, just to make sure for, you know, if she had anything going on as far as mentally or like physical therapy or occupational therapy. And after that was all done, they said, my daughter Ashley, she was fine. She wasn't delayed at all. But because Jordan was in the room too, they were watching Jordan, and they kind of noticed that he was behind on his skills, and he was behind by a lot, actually further back than even Ashley. And so then I was like, okay, so I got him evaluated, and it came back that yes, he did need therapies, and for like 4 or 5 years we had therapists that actually came to our home because he obviously wasn't in school yet. And I did send him to preschool, but they kind of prepared him and like tried to catch him up as much as they could. They didn't think he had Duchenne. I didn't hear anything about Duchenne at all from them. They just thought that he was just behind. When he started school, he was behind, but he was getting therapy at school too, and he was walking fine. The only thing when he was walking that I noticed is they kind of like stick their chest out and they walk with, you know, kind of like, it looks like their belly is huge, and it's like they're walking with their belly like out. I don't know if that makes sense. And I did notice that he was doing that. And he toe walked. Where he walked on his tippy toes all the time. And I was taught that if you walked on your toes, it could be a sign of autism. So then we thought, well, maybe he has autism, and that would explain everything as to why he is behind on everything. And we took him to a neurologist, and that neurologist in Utica, New York, said there was nothing wrong with him. They had him walk, they had him do all sorts of testing, and the doctor never thought he had Duchenne. We actually didn't find out about Duchenne. I say we, I mean my ex-husband. I won't even talk about him. But we were kind of struggling with the, you know, that he was getting services. So it wasn't like he was still behind or anything. It was just we kind of wanted an answer. We wanted to know why he was doing these things. And now they kind of concluded that it was autism. And one day I worked as a CNA, and I lived within walking distance from her house, and that was in Utica. And I went on my lunch break, and I had a text from my ex-husband that said to see if I could switch one of the TVs in the nursing home and look at the Jerry Lewis telethon. So I did that, and it was kind of hard because I was working, so it was really hard to sit down and watch. I did catch glimpses of it, But I had gone back to work, so I couldn't message him and let him know that I saw it or what I thought about it. And when I got off of work, I had a really long text message from him that basically said, you know, you need to come watch this. And it was on all night, so, I mean, I could still watch it after I worked. But I got home, and he had recorded it. So he put it on the beginning of it, basically, where they were explaining the different diseases, the different muscular dystrophies that affect people. And so I was watching it, and then they were showing a little boy, and they were showing how he walked and how he got up from the floor and how big his calves were. And we were sitting there, you know, he had already watched it, and he was kind of waiting for my reaction, and I was sitting there, and I was like, wow, you know, Jordan did and had all of those traits. He had, like, some of them had, like, a larger tongue, or when they're concentrating, they, like, stick their tongue out. He would get up from the floor in the Gowers maneuver. If you go to that Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, you can look at boys that get up in that manner. And he had the bigger calves. He toe walked. And I got really concerned, and, you know, they were showing Duchenne and what it was like. So we decided that we would call the telethon and ask them if they could tell us what doctor we would be able to go to be able to figure out if he had this disease. And the doctor was in Syracuse, and we went, and he was definitely diagnosed with Duchenne based on lab work, because you can also tell if you're a carrier for Duchenne by getting lab work. I think it's your PCK levels, but once again, go to Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy if you have any questions. And they gave us, you know, medicines for him. That's when he first was started on prednisone. He was probably around 3 or 4 then. No, wait, I think he was older, maybe 5, because he'd already gone to preschool. I'm not sure how old he was. And they started him on prednisone. They put him on calcium and vitamin D, I think. And basically, you know, those were the only things at that time that helped people with Duchenne. That was just how they had learned to, you know, what they learned to give him and other kids. And then to make sure that he had Duchenne, they wanted to schedule for him to have a muscle biopsy. And so we scheduled that, and he had that surgery done. It was really easy. It was just a little cut, like, up by his hip. And it didn't really bother him much. You know, I mean, surgery is surgery, but he came out of it pretty well, and he didn't seem to care. They gave us medicine in case he started to feel pain, but they sent us home. And through that, we did determine he definitely has Duchenne. After that, we contacted the MDA to get him like a push wheelchair, because we knew that by what the doctor had said that it wouldn't be long until he might need something. Nowadays they have like a big stroller, like a heavy duty stroller that you can use for your kids when they're younger. But at that time they brought this tiny little wheelchair. I mean, it didn't look like anybody would fit in it but a doll, but it was his size, and he had that chair, and most of the time he wasn't in it. It was only when we went long distances, or like if he was in class, he had to go like to the other side of the school and it was really far. Excuse me. But he always liked to push it. He really never didn't want to ride in that one. And we did do a couple events with the MDA. We did boot drives. We did a golf tournament. They had there's always Shamrocks. Like, I encourage everyone to please buy Shamrocks when they're out, because that is helping in making new drugs that can help treat muscular dystrophy. And I mean, they're wonderful. They actually have what he's on. He's on deflazacort, but I'm going to talk about that more in part 2. But they're, I mean, other than the traits that I explained, we really didn't know. I thought about putting like a little video in, but I don't know how to do that as far as copyright. So I think I will maybe Google it and see it, if you're allowed to use certain things or not. But other than that, just looking at my list of things that I wrote down, I think that's pretty much, that's about up until he was like 9 or 10. You know, we did a lot of MDA events. Oh, I forgot. We did, when he was, I think he was 7, we applied for Make-A-Wish. And they ended up sending us, I think it was 6 or 7. I can't remember. We did use the wheelchair then, because it's so big, he couldn't walk at all. But I think I'll do a vlog on that. I actually have a binder that has all of the things in it from when we went to Disney and the place that we stayed. And the place that we stayed at was so wonderful. I wish there was some way we could go back and like help them, because it's a bunch of volunteers that run it. It's Give Kids the World. And if there was a way for me to go and do something, I would definitely go there and help other families. And that's not just muscular dystrophy. There's all sorts of diseases that they accommodate. But I'll do a video on that one another time. But I think that was all. And I hope that this video worked, because I don't really want to record again. I told my kids they couldn't come in my room, so it's about dinner time. So I will see everybody in the future. Please, please, please like and subscribe. We're trying to build this channel so it will be like an income for Jordan, because obviously he has Duchenne, and it's very hard for him to work even at certain jobs, because he can't at this point move his arms very much. So he really wants to do YouTube as a job, and I am encouraging him to do that, and that's part of why I am filming myself, even though I really, really, really don't like cameras. Hopefully I'll get used to it. Well, I thank everyone who subscribed. We're so excited. We went from like 28 to 56. And just that jump, it made him so happy. So I thank everyone that has already subscribed, and tell everyone to subscribe to us, please. I will see you guys later.